Home Affairs Department has outlined its plans of overhauling its immigration policy in its latest white paper on international migration. This, of course, in efforts to implement an African Union requirement that obliges members to include in their legislation elements of free movement of Africans in the continent. Various elements will be changed, but the focus today is on the potential scrapping of visas, more so for African citizens. We take this discussion further with the Director General from the Home Affairs Department, Mkuseli Apleni. Apleni, good morning to you and thank you so much for talking to us.
Good morning to you and the viewers at home.
Now, obviously, this is part of the African Union Agenda 2063, which was part of the final initiatives by the former AU chairperson, Dr. Mkuseli. But just take us back a little bit and remind us of the contents.
Yes. The Agenda 2063 is looking at a situation that there will be a free movement into the continent, which will promote various aspects, economic issues and cultural issues amongst the nations of the continent. However, doing that, it does not remove the issues of sovereignty of different countries and in the continent, and that when we are doing that, we need to do it looking at the security of the country. What now the protocol which is being looked at is looking at the right to enter, a right to residence and a right to establishment, so that people can be able now to come to any country in the continent and be able to stay freely, but that will still be done based on the security imperatives of one country to the other.
All right. The issue of security, I think that is what worries many people. But talk to us about the white paper which was adopted by Cabinet about 6 weeks ago. Does it address this issue and talk to the issue of security if that was to happen?
Yes. In the white paper, there is a whole chapter about admissions and departure. In that, we are really looking at those issues. Okay. One of the proposals which are there, which will facilitate this process, as you may recall, is the establishment of a border management authority, which was saying that entity will be responsible for managing everything around our border management at a port of entry, at a land, at a maritime and the air. So that's one of the proposals. Once that entity is in place, we'll be able now to guard the issues of the borders to make sure that we facilitate the movement of the people and the goods, but in a secured manner. Right. And then also in that chapter, we are proposing various systems which we'll put in place. One of them is an advanced passenger processing system, which will make sure that before the people board in their countries of origin, we are able now to check that. And we're talking about issues of e-passport, because the e-passport will have an advantage that in it will have a chip, and then in the chip it will be kept your biodata, like your name and your surname and your date of birth, but the key thing is the biometric, because what differentiates from one person to the other is a biometric. And won't be the first one in the continent. You will know that the ECOWAS region has already started this process of the free movement, and even that they've issued one passport for the region, because people needs to be known. You can't just let anyone to come into your country.
And go as they
but
please.
Even at SADC, we've already have a visa waiver of 90 days amongst the countries in the SADC. The only two countries which have not yet taken that is Angola and Madagascar, solely because of the security concern.
So I noticed that the issue of security is thoroughly addressed by the white paper. Now, in March, Home Affairs had actually confirmed that there will be some visa-free travel for South Africans to the EU, but that was still in the works. With the cabinet reshuffle, is it still the case, or now that the new minister has come into the department, the process will be affected?
No. The policy of government is not dependent from one minister to the other. It's a policy of government. When the minister comes in, it still deals with the decision of the cabinet. But we'll recall that the UK did impose a visa regime to us, again because of these security concerns. But as a country, we've been working working to improve our systems in order to be able for other countries to have a confidence in our documents. So it's something which we'll still want to pursue, because the better our people are able to go to these other countries visa-free, it is a benefit to our country, and it will increase the issues of economy and tourism.
But I would want to imagine, Baba Apleni, that the scrapping of visas for African citizens, it's not something that will just happen overnight. It sounds like a process.
Yes, yeah. Well, that's why we're happy that it is Agenda 2063. It's about 50 years vision, which we want to work on it as a continent. So that gives us a time to say, let us not rush the issues. We must make sure that we work on them. In fact, now we'll be in Kigali in May 22nd to 24 as a technical people to deal with this issue, so that we take proposals in January 2018 to the AU summit. So it's going to be a process to work these things, to make sure that countries first must have proper systems in place in order to allow
and
this.
Tomorrow, the Minister of the Department, Professor Mkuseli, will be delivering her first budget vote. I would imagine more is to come from what she will say tomorrow.
Yes, Minister will touch on various aspects, and we must remember that now we're left with 2 years into this administration. Elections were in 2014, and now this administration is coming to end in 2019. So the minister is joining towards the tail end of this administration. As I've said, that as government, we have what we call the medium-term strategic framework, which details what are the plans for 5 years. So now for us is to make sure that as a Department of Home Affairs, what was earmarked for the department is achieved by 2019. So that's what Minister will be outlining now tomorrow.
Yeah, all right. And I remember very well that the Minister of Communications, Minister Yanda Dlodlo, last week actually encouraged the public to engage with this budget speech processes. But how do they go about doing that? Because I would imagine that your department is one significant one for South Africans as well.
You know, we're very happy now. During our budget speech, we'll be live on 75 community radios, and as well as another 5 big radio stations, and as well as on the TV. So we'll be able now to interact with the people through those processes. And
but
also
that's a one-way interaction, because they will get to listen to the minister. But I think the important part is going down to them to actually hear their grievances.
So then also, as a Department of Home Affairs, we've got what we call the National Stakeholder Forum, which is made up of people from the local municipality, district municipality, and as well as provincial level, which helps us to go down to the people. Even as on Sunday, the minister was with an Mbizo here around Gauteng. So we are various doing those things, so that as a department we are interact with the people.
But what are the people saying that they are playing? What are their main concerns as we wrap up our conversation?
Yes. Well, as you know, that Home Affairs is dealing with everyone. We start from a birth certificate, to an ID document, to a marriage certificate, to a death certificate. So what people are looking for is the services of Home Affairs, which must be accessible, they must be efficient, and now they must be secured. So that's what people are looking for, because without these documents, they can't participate on anything. Can't open a bank account, can't participate on economy, you can't be registered in a university. So people are looking for services of Home Affairs.
Essential services.
Exactly.
All right, no, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks.
Thank you very much indeed. That's the Director General of the Home Affairs Department, Mkuseli Apleni, talking to us about the latest on efforts to implement African Union agreements on free movement, and also on the upcoming budget vote, which will take place tomorrow for the first time, delivered by the new Minister of the Department, Professor Mkuseli. It is exactly 7 o'clock, and it's time for your latest news.